anything. So therefore, don't ever forget that I'm a black girl in America.
What? Okay. No, I'm glad. Hold on. That's something. If you follow my lives at all, which you can't follow them all, I know you're busy, but I know you see some. You don't hear when I talk about that? When I talk about that, her being, how hard it is for her as a female, especially a black female. But the problem is attitude. That's what we talk about. You're always going off on everybody, cussing and carrying on. I mean, it's like, what's the real issue here? You don't seem happy, Claressa, and you come off and you bite everybody's head off. Tried to tell her. The realest conversation with Claressa Shields that ever happened was Hood Champion. Very raw, uncut, very genuine, very real, very authentic. But Claressa Shields did what Claressa Shields wanted to do. 99% of people love that interview. And now people who we sat back and we watched it again, they're like, that shit was so on point. When I first listened to you, it didn't hit me the way it's hitting me now. Hood Champion, you are brilliant. I mean, if you want to say that. What is going on with Claressa Shields and the cost of greatness and the downfall of Claressa Shields? All these people trying to tear this girl. Well, I put it this way. All of these people holding her accountable, right? Hey, man, Hood Champion gave it to a raw and uncut. I said it back in January 13th. Attitude. What's wrong with you? You don't seem happy. People don't remember all that shit. But I know that's why I sit here and I be breezing. I did what comes natural. Is have direct communication and get someone very direct feedback, raw and uncut, even though they don't like it. And I have no regrets. Because everything that I told her is what everyone has their own way, but there are a lot of people who've, in their own way, they've tried to, basically we all think we all had the same objective. I knew there were going to be pitfalls. And I knew if she fell into them, it'd be bad. Because I saw her turning fans off. And I'm not talking about the people who just sitting at home doing nothing. I'm talking about she was turning off the type of fans who spend money for her for tickets to go watch her. She was turning off fans, people who were sponsors, who could come out there and help her as far as securing endorsement deals, promoters, networks. I saw it coming. It's not hard, especially when you talk about, someone having what is perceived as a bad attitude. But then if you don't feel you have a bad attitude, it's like, well, what's there for me to change? Y'all can say what you want. My attitude's not bad. You only got the whole world telling you, hey, well, this is how we see it. So now you take a look at what we're seeing with Claressa Shields. But this is history, people. I know some people don't quite see it that way. No, I'm telling you, this shit is history. You understand what Claressa Shields is to sports? Forget that. You understand what she is to America? Claressa Shields is a part of American history. People don't understand that. That's why the last couple of videos I've been touching on this, and I'm going to keep foot stomping it. Claressa Shields is a part of American history, folks. 2 gold medals. When they start talking about females who won Olympic medals, more than one, Claressa's name comes up. She didn't do this shit in swimming. She didn't do this in gymnastics. She didn't do this in track and field. She did it in boxing. Okay? But even when I talked to her at that time, She wasn't trying to hear anything I said about the attitude. She wasn't trying to hear it. When I told her, yo, you biting everybody's head off. You don't seem happy. You see, she wasn't trying to hear it. But the story of Claressa Shields may ultimately become one of the most discussed, more than it is now, controversial, emotional, and psychological, layered stories in sports history. And I believe that. And not simply because of boxing, but because when you think about Claressa Shields and her story, it touches everything, man. This is history, people. Shit touches poverty. It touches trauma. Touches greatness, fame, anger, politics, celebrity culture, relationships, violence, public perception. And what makes it so powerful is many fans believe Claressa Shields achieved almost everything imaginable inside the ring, from an amateur to a pro. And that's true. How do young people say it? Facts, facts. Let me tell you something, man. She did all this inside the ring while possibly never fully escaping emotional battles outside of it. And that's like, after really seeing where we are today, what is it, May 26, 2026, 2:07 p.m. Central Standard Time. And just thinking about when I really, because I knew who she was. I've always followed her as a boxer. But I didn't know all about the drama until all the Layla Ali shit started popping off, you know. That's why I was like, what the hell's going on? I knew that she would say something here and there, but it was nothing I didn't really, mull over. I had nothing to mull over. I was just like, whatever. Little bullshit, trash talk. But when Layla Ali dropped those videos, that's when I was like, what the hell? So when I go from there to where we are now and I look, I'm like, there's some stuff here, man, some emotional battles that haven't fully been resolved. Because she's just really dropped the ball, man. She has really dropped the ball, and I don't care what anyone says. There was champion Claressa, then she became controversial Claressa. She was in a much better space when she was champion Claressa. You know what I mean? But when she became controversial Claressa, look at what happened to her. Her greatness has been sacrificed. Her legacy has been compromised. And that's why, for me, it's like, I try to understand going from poverty to boxing immortality. And no matter how controversial discussions surrounding Claressa Shields become, one thing remains undeniable, right? We were talking last night, and I listened to the ladies. Her rise was extraordinary. She came from Flint, Michigan. My understanding is it's been associated with economic struggle. A couple of people from Flint came on, and they talked about the factories and stuff and different things that are no longer there. And as a result, it's been an economic struggle. There's been a lot of violence. There's hardships. And when you think about all that, right, and I'm just going off what people said. I haven't researched Flint to know what is fact and what's not, but I do believe there's some truth to that because everyone I've talked to, that's what they've stated. But Shields fought her way from poverty into boxing history, right? Now, we all know what she's become with the gold medals, undisputed champion several times, multi-division champion, and arguably the most accomplished female boxer ever. But many fans genuinely believe she may be the most naturally gifted female fighter the sport has ever seen. Inside that ring, Claressa often displays elite instincts, reaction time, stamina, IQ, competitiveness, and emotional intensity that's rarely matched. Matter of fact, she got that fire inside just like her damn movie. And for years, supporters viewed her as a symbol of women's boxing, finally demanding respect. And that's how it was. Some people just say Claressa Shields is the face of women's boxing. She's one of, but there was a stretch, boy, where she had it. Yeah, you had Serrano and Katie Taylor there as well. But Claressa Shields, she had it, man. Everybody was like, ain't nobody gonna beat her. Well, even back then, I remember, I'm sure I could get the video. I've done so many videos. I could find it where I'd be like, she getting there with a man, she whipped the man's ass. We used to joke about it because it's like she's that dominant. But I don't know if she still carries that responsibility on her shoulders. I don't think she does because the way she conducts herself. I think she set that aside to become this controversial Claressa, this villain. But I try to understand more and more the trauma conversation. Now, I don't talk a lot about the stuff that I've heard about her and she's talked about because when it come to children, that shit's off limits to me, right? But what I will say is throughout her rise, a lot of fans, especially when I listen now, and even the observers, they notice something deeper emotionally. They say Claressa has openly discussed very difficult experiences from childhood and adolescence in past interviews and documentaries. If you watch her movie, you'll see they touch up on some of that. Now, because of this, some fans speculate that while she conquered boxing professionally, certain emotional wounds may have never been fully resolved psychologically. And I tend to believe that. It's important not to diagnose or assume mental health conditions when you're talking about these people, because I am not qualified to do it, and most of you all are not either. But as observers, we believe her public intensity, defensiveness, emotional volatility may reflect some unresolved trauma. It's just a conversation, combined with the immense pressure of fame and expectation, and then wanting that. A lot of elite athletes throughout history have experienced this contradiction, man. Extraordinary discipline professionally, while privately struggling emotionally. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure we've all either been there or seen somebody as far as them as a professional have extraordinary discipline. You watch them whether it's coming to an office, coming into a gym, or whatever capacity, right? Whatever environment. They're like, man, so professional, so much discipline. But then privately struggling emotionally. And then, something lead to something, and you get the word, you're like, what happened to who? Who did what? And I've lived that. I've seen that on several occasions. That shit, let me tell you, it doesn't discriminate. Age, race, gender, sexual orientation, financial status. When you have someone out there who's struggling emotionally and they decide to have a permanent fix to a temporary problem, let me tell you, I've seen it across the spectrum, and I'll leave it as that. But this thing about the anger narrative that followed her career, I pointed that shit out to her. You know what I'm saying? That snippet I played at the beginning of this video, I pointed that out to Claressa. I like his attitude, you seem angry. You're biting everybody's head off. You know what I'm saying? But throughout her professional career, and especially now, man, Claressa has often displayed visible anger and aggression outside the ring. You know what I'm saying? We all saw what happened to her recently. That's what I think has really set shit off. It's like, okay, now she want to go and start hitting people and acting crazy. That ain't cool. Supporters see this as passion. Some see it as competitiveness and survival energy developed through difficult life experiences. There are some people who are out here condoning the bullshit, man. But then you got the critics, however, who are going to argue that some public moments create damaging optics, heated confrontations, assaulting someone, family members assaulting people, friends and family members getting into it, where weapons are being pulled, aggressive verbal exchanges online and in public, weigh-in tensions and chaos, sparring controversies and talking about you're gonna stab somebody and you got a knife, and conflicts tied to boxing events and public appearances. I mean, of course we're going to talk about that because this is the kind of crap that's going on. And whether you think it's fair or you think it's unfair, Many fans began associating Claressa Shields with controversy as much as accomplishments. Matter of fact, they talk more about the controversy than the accomplishments, because most people who are talking about it aren't boxing channels. You know what I'm saying? The boxing channels, even we find ourselves kind of wrapped up in this whole Claressa Shields, drama train, man. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't slowing down. And I'll tell you this, once an athlete enters the cycle publicly, perception can become difficult to control. Claressa Shields is caught up in the public cycle, people. She's not still in the boxing circles. If it was just boxing circles talking about Claressa Shields, it wouldn't have no real impact. You understand? Because the boxing circles is just about boxing, and only the people who have an interest in boxing will be learning and hearing about it. She's caught up in a public circle. You know what I'm saying? The people who are talking about her shit, in addition to boxers, these people out here, man, have an expanded audience. You know what I mean? Who paying attention to drama, paying attention to different things. And they all talk about it. And they keep washing, rinsing, and repeating. And it's everywhere, man. This is where, like, the shit we talk about in boxing channels, shit ain't going to no TMZ. That shit ain't going to no damn, whatever the name of that show is with Whoopi Goldberg and them women. Claressa's shit is gone all over the place because she's caught up in a public cycle. And I'm going to tell you this, man. It's become difficult to control. That's why they got this petition out here. Matter of fact, while I'm talking to you, let me see if I could find that shit. Because I haven't seen it since last night. Let's see where it's at right now. Yeah, let me show you. Where is it at right now? We're at like 25. Oh, Lord have mercy. Here it is right here. It's at going on 4,000. This petition is up and away. 442 comments. You know what I'm saying? Claressa needs help. Let me just do this for y'all. Claressa needs help. I feel this would be one of many steps to lead her in the right direction that would be better for her, not only her personal identity, but her self-image. I'm submitting this petition out of concern regarding the public behavior and conduct of Claressa Shields. While her accomplishments in boxing are undeniable and deserving of recognition, I believe her repeated involvement in public altercations, hostile exchanges, and aggressive behavior outside of sanctioned competition reflects poorly. Oh, wow. This is a whole goddamn dissertation. I'll just jump right here. It says, as a dark-skinned African-American woman myself, I want to make it clear that this is not a colorism issue. This is about accountability, professionalism, and the standards that should be upheld by individuals representing the sport on a global platform. I'll just leave that alone right there. Or the last thing it says, this petition is not intended to erase her accomplishments or attack her personally. Rather, it's a call for disciplinary action and accountability to reinforce that repeated hostile or aggressive conduct outside the ring should not be normalized or rewarded within professional sports. Now, I don't know who wrote that, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's somebody who may be close to the source or involved in boxing, because the way they wrote that shit, very, very structured and on point. But hey, that's what happens when you're caught up in a cycle publicly. Now, one reason she's caught up in a cycle publicly is because she's become the algorithm. She said, I am the algorithm. And that's one of the most fascinating parts of Claressa's rise, is how I think she started to kind of understand modern sports culture and visibility. You know, a lot of athletes today, they realize that visibility could be more important than victory. So it seems like she was trying to figure that out, so she became louder online, more confrontational, more reactive. She was looking for more viral moments. And for supporters, I listen to them. They feel that this was necessary because women's boxing historically struggled for attention and media investment. But you listen to the critics. They believe constant conflict eventually overwhelms achievements publicly. And I agree 100%. You're always caught up in some kind of drama that will overwhelm your achievements. And that's why now not many people are talking about how great Claressa Shields is as a fighter or what she's done, because everything has been so negative. But she chose to be the villain. So the danger of becoming the algorithm is that eventually controversy begins feeding itself. And many fans believe that's what happened here. The controversy just fed itself. And now you talk about the relationship drama and public perception. That's one thing that people, boy, I don't think that's ever going to be set aside. That will always be dialogued. You know what I mean? In some fashion or form. Is Claressa Shields in this relationship, man? Her personal life, relationship. But she put it out there. Pat, my man, and what she does for him, and about somebody was there licking the coochie, and then she out here talking all this other shit about being in shape and what you do in the bedroom, and a bunch of shit that nobody even cares to hear about. So you already out here with dealing with these online rumors, and I know a lot of women are gonna poke me in the eye for this, because they're like, no, it ain't a rumor, it's a fact, hood. Man, please. Hold your horse and stop taking to the goddamn stupid hood. This ain't no rumors, man. They'll say these are the facts, but I'll just leave it like this. The online rumors and the fan speculation, man, and all the narratives that I think have alleged overlap, betrayal, friendship complications through many details remain speculative and publicly disputed when we're talking about all the gossip surrounding that relationship involving Remy and Papoose. But I'll tell you this. What matters from a public perception standpoint is that sports fans have always been fascinated by relationship scandals. Historically, scandals involving athletes and romantic relationships often become larger than sports, especially sports themselves, because fans emotionally project morality, loyalty, betrayal, and identity onto public figures. And this happens across generations. Basketball, boxing, skating, football, tennis, and entertainment culture overall. Once relationship controversy becomes public, it can permanently reshape how fans emotionally interpret an athlete. And you just think about Claressa, Remy, and Papoose. I'm sure none of them wanted their shit talked. Well, I don't think Papoose and Remy wanted their shit talked about like that. Claressa wanted her shit out there, in my opinion, because she talks about it. But when I listened to the lady say nope, she was trying to befriend her. She went over there, and the next thing you know, she with a man that is just all wrong, bad medicine. And then they say what they say. And I'm telling you right now, I even told her, I said, Claressa, what's up with the ladies, boy? They ain't feeling that move you made. But at the time, I didn't really understand about her befriending Remy. Because I'm telling you, yeah, everyone knows her champion don't give a fuck about the relationship. It's interesting, so we talk about it, but I don't care. Y'all be with who you want to be with. But when they explained to me that you're over there in someone's DMs, asking them for fashion advice or whatever it is, and then you end up with their man. That shit to me is crazy. It's just like a guy, and you and another guy, y'all cool, and next thing you know, you end up with the guy's woman. That shit to me is just, I ain't gonna say what I was gonna say, right? Because I don't want y'all to hear me talk like that. But I put it as no bueno. You don't do shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't do shit like that. Too many women in this world for a man to be cool with another guy and then go and mess with his woman, even if they separate. Shit is off limits. But that's just how I roll. But a lot of these cats sound like that. So when they explain it to me like that, I'm like, that ain't good. But I'll tell you, sports history has been filled with downfalls linked with scandal, violence, and public opinion. So this ain't the first time. The Claressa conversation feels so explosive because sports history already contains many examples of athletes whose public image shifted dramatically due to controversy. Shit, throughout sports history, there's always been some kind of violence and public scandals and legal disputes and relationship drama and fan backlash. This ain't nothing new. Repeatedly altering careers and legacies. Shit, you just think about, we're talking boxing, right? Mike Tyson. Man's in a great space now, but legal, personal controversy surrounding his career. And I pointed it out in the video yesterday. Mike Tyson, what is it, 2026, that man was 60, close to 60 years old. You know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson, they still talking about shit he did when he was in his 20s. He like, I was a kid. But they don't let that shit go. You know what I mean? Then you had y'all remember in skating, they had Tanya Harding, infamous figure skating scandal and all that bullshit. Oscar De La Hoya, out here in them fishnets. What was the song? Fishnets, black pantyhose. I forgot the name of the song. That shit from back in the day. But he had all kind of public image battles throughout his career. And even today, man, people don't want to let that go. Tiger Woods. This man ain't never seen a good mugshot. You know what I'm saying? Tiger Woods out here looking crazy, always drunk and driving and shit. But I'll tell you what. With Tiger Woods, I just think with him losing his dad, I don't think he's ever been able to really cope with that shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'll leave that alone. But the bottom line is he's had massive fallout from personal scandal, and it's hurt sponsorship deals. It's hurt all kind of shit. It's hurt his brand. They never looked at him the same. You know what I'm saying? Then you have people like who was mad because Tiger Woods was, him and all them white women and people out here always have some shit to say. And I'll tell you this, I believe in loving all, hating none. But I hear what these women be going off with these. See, that's the thing. And Tiger Woods is, he's of two races, Thai and black. And, I'm also of two races. You know what I'm saying? But they sure as hell, man, Tiger Woods, they ain't know if they want to see that man as black, Thai, or what they want to see him as. But when they decide to dig it on your ass, boy, they can be brutal. But that don't have nothing to do with anything. But what I'm getting at is Tiger Woods had massive fallout with the whole personal scandal and cheating and drinking and driving and everything else going on with him. Then Antonio Brown, and he had a reputation collapse because of all the repeated controversy, man. But what connects many of these stories is fan perception. Fan perception eventually becomes stronger than the accomplishments. You know what I'm saying? And that's a fact. Once public opinion shifts, emotionally rebuilding the trust becomes damn near impossible. When the public opinion shifts, it's damn near impossible to regain that. You know what I'm saying? And I want to point something out because politics and power have always existed in boxing. And when you see what's going on here with Claressa Shields right now, I'm just telling you, you just got to pay attention. Politics. I'll leave it as that. Y'all need to just understand I'll let y'all take that and run with it and do what you may. But I'll say politics and power have always existed in boxing. And that's another important layer, and we need to talk about it. Fans often underestimate how promoters, sanctioning bodies, commissions, sponsors, broadcasters, and networks care about image stability. Claressa has done nothing to create a stable image. Any platform she's on, she has not done anything to make sure that things remain stable if she's in the house. When Big GWOAT's in the house, shit gets unstable with the quickness, right? You see, boxing is not just about combat. And this is why there's this huge movement to stop Claressa Shields, the cost of greatness. Because boxing is not just combat, it's business. It's money, man. When a fighter becomes divisive publicly, companies begin calculating. I've been trying to tell y'all, and I'm telling y'all, this shit, they see her as a sponsorship risk. They see her as a PR risk. They see her as someone that's going to have media backlash. They see that as far as partner value, that's being damaged. They see her as someone with an audience. Audience's perception is not good. And the bottom line is, whoever she attaches herself to because of these things, it hurts them. And I'm just telling you, if the fly on the wall could talk, I think we would all be shocked at who exactly is sitting there having conversations about her and what their plans are for her. And trust me, they ain't no content creators. Now, I'm just telling y'all that now. I ain't here trying to be the goddamn spokesperson for no content creators because I don't see myself as one. Even though I've been told I am, I just do fucking videos and go on about my business. But I'll tell you what, man, content creators, that's the least of your worries. Maybe 5% of shit that's going on, I would say we've contributed to. That 95% of shit going on is between her and people who have real striking power. It ain't these people out here doing videos and just having fun with the content or whatever. That ain't it. And I want to make sure that I foot stomp that. Just stop blaming the goddamn content creators. They don't make it any better. We don't make it any better, but we're again, maybe 5% of the headache. That 95%, it's not us. But I'll say this, historically, man, many fighters who generated too much controversy eventually found themselves isolated politically, even if they remain talented, and that's Claressa. You know what I mean? She has entered that territory, people. That's just how I see it. But there's a fear of isolation because I think she's like Wilson out there in Castaway. You know what I mean? Or like Tom Hanks with that Wilson. She's going to get her volleyball, paint a face on it, and start shouting that shit. Wilson! Wilson! Or maybe, no, she won't call it Wilson. She call it Papoose. Pap! Papoose, pap, pap! That's what she'll call. Get yourself a volleyball or a boxing glove and call that shit Papoose. Because she's going to be out here all alone. But that's what happens. Isolation. One of the darkest themes surrounding public athlete downfall is isolation. And that's what's happening to her. So fans are now debating whether Claressa Shields is reaching a point where sponsors who were cautious now have just totally turned their back on her. Promoters are like, okay, I got this contract, but what do I do? Do I keep working with her? Do I just let her out the contract? What do I do? We're hesitant to move forward. Networks reducing support. Now we don't know if we want this on our network. Fighting on DOESN may not want that. You know what I'm saying? If you get clicks and views, cool. But if not, we don't want that. Then commissions scrutinizing behavior more heavily, and sanctioning bodies' relationships become strained because they want you as a champion to be the consummate professional and represent that belt. But when you just think about those things I mentioned, those all seem to be problem areas for her right now. But I'll tell you this, whether fully true or not, the perception alone can create consequences. And psychologically, athletes feel rejected by institutions who feel that way. They often become even more reactive publicly. This creates a dangerous cycle. And that's Claressa, man. In my opinion, criticism results in anger, which results in controversy, which results in even more criticism, and then you repeat the cycle. But I'm telling you, this whole thing is historic, and there's a reason why it feels so historically important. The reason why I think I know why I say it, and a lot of people are agreeing with me on this, when it comes to this saga, I feel like it's going to be discussed for years to come because it represents a collision between these talking points. You have greatness, you have pain, you have ego, you have fame, internet culture, gender expectations, trauma, and you have public accountability. Clarissa's story is not simple. To some fans, she's misunderstood, unfairly targeted, and carrying emotional scars while fighting for respect. But I'm going to tell you right now, man, that collision between those things I just mentioned is a big deal. Now, there are others who are going to come out here and say, nah, man, she became self-destructive publicly and damaged her own image through repeated conflict and volatility. And I'll just tell you this. Whether you think she's misunderstood or whether you think she did it to herself and they need to get her out the sport of boxing, both perceptions and both perspectives exist simultaneously online. So, the bigger tragedy out of all of this is how women's boxing is being affected. And that's the hardest part for many fans, is that women's boxing itself, they're suffering collateral damage, and I'm going to keep saying that. They're suffering collateral damage. Because when one of the sport's biggest stars becomes surrounded by controversy, casual fans and audiences become distracted, start paying attention to the bull crap. Sponsors, again, they may want to not even to come over into women's boxing anymore. And the entire sport is associated with negativity, which is kind of what I talked about yesterday. Meanwhile, you got countless disciplined female fighters continue to work quietly, and they don't receive comparable attention. And I'm telling you, there's a big fight coming up this weekend. Amanda Serrano, Holly Holm. It's a big-ass fight card. I haven't really talked about it. And that's it. That's an example how they're not receiving comparable attention. So I'm guilty. I'm the pappy. It's me. I'm one of many. And that imbalance frustrates many fans deeply. But hey, I apologize. And so I will do a video on all that. But I gotta be honest with you. The Claressa Shields shit is more interesting, I ain't gonna lie. But I will today, I will do it. I told people yesterday I would do a video on it. I am. There's a lot of fighters on the card coming on this weekend in El Paso. But I will do a video on it today. I got up this morning after doing a live last night. I went to the Mayweather gym and trained. Then I trained my son, and now I'm here. So I'm a little bit tired. So do this video and go relax. And I gotta go do some. I got a lot of shit to do. Hood Champion's always busy. But let me tell you this, a final psychological perspective when it comes to Claressa Shields. Because people, what you're seeing is history. You're living through history right now. This shit going on with Donald Trump is history. Everything going on right around us with these people is history. This shit with Claressa Shields is going to be in the storybooks, in the history books. You understand when they talk about sports and boxing? They're going to be showing clips of Claressa Shields fighting, clips of her drama. It ain't going nowhere. It's going to be there when our great-great-grandchildren are running around here. And we long gone. Unless you like that guy who was on the Joe Rogan show who's a trillionaire and has people living at his house, on his compound, and these scientists, their job is just to make sure this man lives as long as he possibly can. The damn cockahole think he could live to be 300 years old. I don't know where that motherfucker from, but anyway. Let me give y'all this final perspective, and then I'm going to go chill. At the center of this entire story, it may be a difficult human reality. Sometimes athletes can conquer opponents without ever fully conquering themselves emotionally. That same intensity that creates greatness can also create instability. That same intensity, I'm going to say it again, that creates greatness can also create instability. That same survival mentality that helps someone escape poverty can later become destructive under fame, pressure, and nonstop public attention. And that's why many people believe the Claressa Shields story will remain historically fascinating for years to come. Because it's not simply a boxing story. It's a story that's about survival, identity, fame, emotional warfare, and then just, I think, the dangerous psychological cost of constantly fighting the world. And I think that's where we're at when it comes to Claressa Shields. Right now, she may be sitting alone in the darkness, man. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what could be fading away when it comes to old Claressa Shields, but it's unfortunate. But hey, she did it to herself, man. Let's see what the future holds for Claressa. And remember, I'm not here to agree with everybody. I'm just here to have a conversation. So y'all can post your comments below and let me know what y'all think. But she has become one of the most controversial stories in modern sports, man. That's Claressa Shields. From poverty to boxing greatness, Olympic gold, undisputed championships, fame, anger, nonstop drama, relationship drama, papoose, Remy, fan backlash growing, close friends and family who no longer get along with her, coming out here and spilling all kind of drama on her, man, and the personal shit that she doesn't want to go out. No sponsors and networks, no sponsors wanting to deal with her. The network seemed like that could be next. And then the whole thing with the legacy being up in the air. It's just a lot. And that's why I think many people will be talking about this story for years to come. It ain't going away. So anyone who's like, I'm taking a break from all this, once her and Papoose break up or they go separate ways, and I'll come back. Bullshit. Claressa is never going to stop getting spoken about. You know why? Because she told us in 2031, we're going to see where she's at, where everyone else is at, and how basically people are going to still be sitting around looking crazy, and she's going to have all this money and all this shit she said she's going to have is what she told me during the interview. Right? And she's supposed to be having children with Papoose and being married to Papoose. And, right? This is all the shit she came out here and said. This is what she told us. She gave us content gold that we could talk about for the next 20 years. And they're going to talk about it. She will forever walk around with a target on her. And I'm not saying that's fair. I'm not saying that's unfair. I'm just telling you, man, she put the target on her. On her chest, on her back, on her thighs, knees, on her ass, on her forehead, back of her head. She got a target on her. And content creators are going to keep talking about it. As long as these people like to be in front of this microphone and shit, they are going to talk about Claressa Shields every single day. So for those of y'all who don't like it, just get over that shit. It's how it goes, man. And again, I'm not saying it's fair or it's unfair. I just think it's going to be talked about for years to come. But that's what happens when you take on the internet and you don't shut up. You will not win. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.